there's a lot of shit that's gone on in that 20 years.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to swear? There's a lot of shit going on in that 20 years.
Just do it one more time to make sure.
Yeah, just pin it down. So
Okay.
this is a first. I mean, I've obviously interviewed you many times, but you've never interviewed me. I don't very often get interviewed because I'm normally behind the camera.
It's about time you're in front of it.
Well, I think it makes a change. So, all right. So, shall I introduce you
Sure.
and then you introduce me? Do you want to go first?
Yeah,
Go
I
on,
will.
you go first.
So this is Paul Mumford.
Hi.
Monoki Media is his company. He is a dear friend of mine. He is a film producer. We're working on a film together. He is a advisor to creatives and unsigned artists. We run the Jam together, which is a night we do, music night. And he's also a video director.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just Mr. Media Man to me. Like,
We've
literally
made
everything from Instagram stuff to Reels to this to that. Like, literally, you are my go-to person for anything tech or music or film, period.
Yeah. So, Nate James, soul singer, musician, songwriter. He's been in the industry for 25 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Singing since I was 7, but actually, like, as an actual artist, yeah. 20 odd years.
3 Mobo nominations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How many number ones in Italy? 3?
2. Yeah.
2.
And 1 in Japan.
Yeah, 1 in Japan. Won a great big festival in Italy. I mean, that was amazing. That
was crazy.
That thing. If you're Italian, you'll know what festival bar is. If you're not, you probably won't. But I don't know, what would you compare it to over here? What's the UK equivalent? Then there is one, is there?
I mean, it's 80,000 people. So I guess like a Wembley Arena size show.
Yeah, but I mean several over
all
several
over the
weeks, all televised.
That was a crazy time. A great time, but crazy. So yeah, and we're here to do a little chat with PRS, for PRS.
Absolutely.
About being creatives and making music and writing songs and creating things.
And I suppose the big creative thing for you over the next month as a gay man is Pride.
Yeah.
And I know you're involved.
Yeah.
So before we talk about what you perhaps you're doing for Pride, what does Pride Month, what's it signify for you as a gay man?
Do you know what? I mean, I'm growing up in Woodbridge in East Anglia. I used to sort of see, pictures of Pride on the cover of, the newspapers or whatever. And I mean, I guess I wasn't gay then. Like, it just looked like a really fun thing to go to whether you're straight, whatever your sexuality is. And I remember when I went to my first Pride in London, it was like, oh my, just the colours, the atmosphere, the joy, the celebration, the unity. And it wasn't, like I say, it's not just about, it is a Pride event for, for queer people, but it's not just about that. Everyone comes in, people fly in from all over the world to, to the various prides all over to come and celebrate, being yourself and being authentic. And I think, that's such a very used word these days, but, and me now being out as well, like I was in the closet for years. So I feel like when I go to Pride, if I'm ever here, which is, I've only been a few times to be fair, but it's just like I'm with my tribe, I'm with my people.
Yeah.
And whether I'm DJing or if I'm just going as as a punter to go and have a few drinks in the street and dance some music, and you just meet so many people, and it's just, I just feel like it's, I mean, I'm gay all year round, but I mean, like, it's just that one day when you just come together and it's just this feeling of being seen and included, and it's just such a special thing to be a part of.
So this year, 20 years, and a 20-year anniversary of your debut album. But while we're talking about Pride, and obviously you're working on a new album as well, which we'll come on to later.
Yeah.
What you must have written 20 years ago as a not openly gay man would have been,
as a straight dude,
would have been very different to what you're writing about now.
Yeah.
Or is it?
I was thinking about that on the way here. Set the Tone was about my then girlfriend, and it was a truthful album to that time and that moment in my life. We had a tempestuous relationship. I mean, there were good times, obviously, but I think as my career started to blossom and as I started to come to London and do more meetings and performances and stuff, obviously my focus shifted away from her. And so that's what Set the Tone, the song, is about. It's about sort of being set free and moving on to pastures new, and not even a person, but a different direction in my life. But I did, I think it came from like above my head, you know, and the labels that I worked with. I mean, I said this in my book I've written, you know, a lot of labels that I worked with and the A&Rs, they didn't care. It wasn't a thing. It wasn't like, are you gay? It was never a conversation we ever had. So I never actually told them anything about it. It was about the music, and that's what it always should be. It doesn't matter,
course,
you know,
yeah.
who I share my bed with. It's about my voice.
That's
and
not going
the
to affect
songs.
your music in any way.
So with the new album, it is the first album I've, I guess, written as a gay man and not having to hide anything, and it just feels so good to like be able to tell these stories. And you know, like I say, you know, the queer community is my tribe, and I know how I struggled with my sexuality over the years. And for someone to hear my record, the new record that's coming, and to hear the songs and the lyrics and actually be like, you know, rejoicing in tears, whatever it's going to resonate, whatever it's going to do to them emotionally, just know that they're not by themselves, and they can actually, there's someone out there who's shouting from the rooftops like, this is me, I am this is the man I am, to quote the title. But like, you know, if that gives someone some sort of reassurance that it's okay to be who you are, then that's my job done. It's a really freeing feeling to be able to be yourself, and not a lot of people have that luxury, you know, whether it's through fear or it's through, you know, restrictions from whether it's religion, I mean, where they live, whatever it might be, you know. So I do feel very lucky that I'm able to sit here now and talk about things like this. And yeah, I always wanted to make music that stood the test of time, but to have an album that's 20 years old is crazy. I mean, I'm 46 this year, and if you'd asked me when I was 7 years old singing Boys to Men and Marvin Gaye and Stevie Wonder in my bedroom, if I'd have an album that was 20 years old, and still sounds fresh, by the way. I think as well, I'm really excited about re-releasing Set the Tone, because when it first came out, you know, iTunes was barely a word. There was no Spotify, there was no Instagram, there was MySpace and stuff like that. But
YouTube was in nappies.
So I just feel like this album, even though it's 20 years old to you and I, is going to be a brand new body of work and music that some people haven't heard before.
Yeah.
Like, who's this new artist? I remember I was on The Voice and everyone was like, who's this new artist? Nate James is amazing. I just watched it unfold. All the comments underneath the posts were like, Nate's been around since this time. Go check out this record. Like, it's like my crew just came through, literally. So yeah, I'm really excited to kind of re-release and expose people to this music that, to me and you, is not old, but like I've sang it a few times. Do you know what I mean?
I think you know it.
Yeah, I mean, I've lost count, Set the Tone. And I think now in my live shows especially, I like to like jazz it up and do the message like a bossa nova, like a Latino kind of vibe, just to make it, you know, exciting for me in the band, because we've played it thousands of times.
Yeah.
Especially in Europe. But yeah, no, I'm really chuffed that it's coming out again, and I'm just looking forward to like seeing people's reaction again.
Now, obviously, we're talking a lot about, in the film, which we'll come on to, talking about how the industry has changed in that 20-year period. As we've already said, 20 years ago, social media really wasn't a thing. YouTube was barely a thing. There was illegal downloading, but no real paid streaming.
God, LimeWire.
Yeah, LimeWire, Napster, all that was a thing.
Oh, thieves.
So it was kind
of on there.
It was kind of like I guess it was the tipping point around that time when the industry was going, oh, what's going on here? You can't have this music for free.
Yeah.
And you're in amongst all that as a brand new artist. How did that feel then, and how does that compare to releasing new music now? Which I know you haven't done yet, but you're obviously, we're in that process now.
I mean, it's interesting. I remember the conversations at the record label I licensed to in the UK, because obviously I was very hands-on as the independent artist, and as the product and the artist, whatever. I'm not that artist. I like to be in the room and have the conversation. And I remember it was actually my brother. He did a degree in digital media at Brighton, and he got a job through his own means at this record label in digital media. And my brother was saying to them, he was like, look, this iTunes thing is going to be huge. Like, you need to prepare for this. And this label was all about vinyl. It was like the home of the brand new heavies, like real like heritage artists, and myself as well. And we were just pushing CD and vinyl. They literally had zero interest in the fact that this iTunes thing was bubbling away. You know what I mean? They were like, oh, it's like mini disc. It's going to come and go. And then lo and behold, here we are.
Yeah.
So I think for me, I mean, LimeWire, even though I was on there and I hands up, I found a lot of great music on LimeWire. That was kind of, it was file sharing. It was literally like you go on there and you'd find the new track from Genuine or whoever it might have been that you're looking for through people who were online at the same time. So the concept was great, but obviously the artist didn't get bugger all from it. I think now, like, we've got access to so much music. I think the difficulty is not so much that it's going to be stolen. It's like, how are you heard above all the noise that's out there and all the other 100,000 tracks a day, is it?
Yeah, stupid, isn't it?
I find myself, I love a journey. I won't name names, but like I love a journey on a streaming service where you tap in an artist and then you go to radio and it takes you to all the different artists that are in that genre. I love that journey because I find so much new music.
Yeah, same.
But you can't possibly, I feel quite overwhelmed at how much music there is available. I mean, we fire tracks at each other all the time.
Yeah.
You know, on WhatsApp, like, check this out. Like, oh, that's a banger. You know, that's what we do every day.
Every day.
But I just, you know, I think that as creatives, as songwriters, as artists, like, you can write, record, and release a track. Not in a day. That's obviously an exaggeration, but
you almost can, I guess.
And I think so. In that respect, you know, having these platforms, be it Instagram to advertise it, or TikTok, or you know, getting your songs on Spotify or whatever your chosen, you know, preferred platform is, I think it's great. We're in a great time, and tech has definitely, you know, massively assisted us in bypassing gatekeepers, in bypassing labels to an extent. You know, you do need some budget, let's be honest, but you know, I've been independent my entire career, and I was one of the first artists in this country to do that. And I was, you know, I was ridiculed. You know, the industry didn't like what I was doing. And then next thing, Music Week did a massive like double page spread, like DIY music. This is how Nate James did it. And my manager Anthony at the time, like he was, the way he thought and the way he was like, let's do it this way. You've got this money from your publishing deal from Universal that I signed. So why don't we just allocate some of that funding to make the record and this, that, and the other, and license it? And I was like, what is this format? What is this language you're talking to me? But here we are.
So about, I want to think now, probably about a couple of years ago, I was teaching you how to be a radio DJ.
I love doing radio.
Yeah.
It's all because of you.
Yeah. So I still do a Saturday morning show on a station out in Essex. Mm-hmm. And there we were in the studio doing a bit of radio. And you said to me, because we were talking about the new album and what you were doing and stuff, and you just happened to throw a little throw-in comment. You said, "Do you know, it'd be really great to document all this stuff with the new album on, like, you know, film it and stuff, because that didn't happen 20 years ago."
It's all about content, exactly.
Yeah, it's all about content.
I wasn't able to.
And then next thing I know, it becomes a much bigger conversation.
Yeah.
Because actually, yes, that 20-year period is the difference between your first album and your new one, but there's a lot of shit that's gone on in that 20 years.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to swear? There's a lot of shit going on in that 20 years.
Just do it one more time to make sure.
Yeah, just pin it down. So there's a big story to be told.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a story to be told about your journey, but also there's a story to be told about how you can, what you have to change to make a new album in 2025, 2026, as in comparison to what it was like in 2005-06. Yeah. Back then, CD was still just about king. Vinyl was kind of heading into the swamp somewhere. Mm-hmm. Back then, you really, and obviously you bucked the trend, but back then you kind of needed a deal. Mm-hmm. And now here we are giving music away like one of our contributors said, like carrier bags. It's a great analogy.
Yeah.
There are only a handful of record labels, and all they're interested in really is bringing people in who are fully formed.
Yep.
Whereas 50 years ago, I mean, we were talking about this the other day, about how David Bowie had 3 big albums before Ziggy. You'd never, if you signed a deal with a label now,
same with U2. I think there was a third album, was a big one.
Yeah, it's a really good example. Before they started working with dude from Roxy, Brian Eno.
Yeah.
They were just piddling
You
around.
wouldn't get an opportunity these days.
No,
at all. You know, and I think I was going to say, you know, labels back then took more of a risk than they do now. There was development deals. There was you would sign for a small amount of money, and then, I mean, we were at the boy band I used to be in when we signed to Warner, but we were in development with a producer in North London for probably 2 years before we even saw the inside. We rehearsed in studios, and then we did showcases, Lucy and Grange, like all these big people, Colin Barlow, like all these people kept Darkest
Similar
Bees.
story then, really.
Yeah, but back then, you know, and then there was a bidding war over us. But now, I mean, don't get me wrong, labels do take a risk signing an artist, but also artists take a risk going with a label.
Yeah.
You don't know what, obviously you better have a bloody good lawyer, but like, you don't know what deal you're getting. Is it fair? Is it artist friendly? Like, there's so many contributing factors to being with a label. And I think people like myself, I'm trying to think of some other like big independent artists, which I should know off the top of my head, but other independent artists, like, it is a big risk. And if you've got the funds to do it, then, 100% do it. But it's tough out there.
So yeah, so that's the kind of the theme of the documentary. We started flying around these questions like,
We were like,
well,
what
how do new artists make a living? What do they have to do now? What's changed? How has songwriting changed? Because that's changed too.
That's a biggie.
Because we are much, much quicker at making decisions about what we like and what we don't like. Whereas perhaps, I mean, even 20 years ago, you'd hear a song on the radio 3 or 4 times, and you'd be listening to that in full from start to finish, soaking it up. You might see it on telly, and then you go out and buy it.
You buy the album and listen to it from start to finish.
Regardless, after only hearing one track, you were like gambling on like 40 minutes of music.
But I think that's the thing that doesn't frustrate me, because I understand people listen to music, how they listen to music, I get that. But like, as an artist who's made a body of work, like The Man I Am and Set the Tone, their story, right? It's a start, a middle, and an end. It's taking on a journey from where I was to where I'm going to be at the end of it. And I want you to hear it as that full body of work. I want you to press play, don't skip. Don't be like, oh, I'm going to play this song because it's the lead single. Like, listen to the whole thing, because if I'm going to be honest with you and give you all of me, least you can do is listen to it all.
Yeah, please.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a fair trade.
Yeah.
And I
used to buy albums like off the strength of one single and get it home and go, I'd like to spend a lot of money on it, because it's pocket money. You'd like to spend $5 or something on an album.
Bus ride as well.
And bus ride to get, bus ride back.
Yeah.
And I put it on, like all excited, and think, oh my God, this is a bit shit, isn't it? But I wouldn't just then not play it again.
Dash out the window.
I've invested £5 of that. I'm going to give it a go.
Absolutely.
And I might even still have some of those albums now, and I love them because I've listened to them and I've absorbed them and I've taken them in and I've paid attention to what the artist is saying in their music and in their lyrics and stuff. Whereas I feel now it's too easy to give a new piece of music a very small amount of your attention. Literally can be like 5-10 seconds. If that hook doesn't grab you, then you're like, okay. So now we understand that now people are writing songs differently because they want to pull you in that golden moment at the beginning.
Think that's the frustrating kind of toss-up when you're in the studio with someone. I mean, I don't play any, I mean, I can find chords, but I don't play. But when you're in the studio with someone, like the pros, my brother said to me, like, he works for Google, right? And he's up there doing conferences and holding audiences. So it's the same, we both do the same thing.
Yeah.
But I sing, he doesn't,
no.
you know? And he's like, I don't know how you can go into a room and come out 2-3 hours later with a fully vocaled, back of everything finished song, when he went in there with nothing. And I'm like, but that's, someone plinks on a guitar or plays a piano chord, that's me, I'm off. But do I sit in a studio and think, oh, right, I've got to get the hook in there, or it's got to have this moment in the first 30 seconds, otherwise the person listening on a streaming site isn't going to get me paid that 0.0 whatever it is, 3 pence. I don't think like that.
No.
Because I'm telling a story and you will listen. Like, I'm holding your attention. Well, I'm trying to. If you want to skip, there is a lot of music out there, obviously, as we said before, but I'm just like, I'm not going to rush this story because I'm worried about how quickly you're going to skip or hear this song. It's all about content these days, and I learned that, again, doing the Masters. I was like, people just they want to know what you have for breakfast, they want to know how you're feeling, and obviously I'm very active on social media. And I was like, well, if we're going to make a new record and I'm going to come back into this industry as a new artist to a lot of people, I want to give them as much of me as I deem is okay. Like, you're not, going to know everything. But there's nothing to hide anymore. So why not show them what it is to make a record, to come on this and actually take people on the whole journey. And then it obviously developed into like, well, let's get some songwriters in, let's get some other artists in,
some producers in,
all these shared experiences that we've had, and we've got some great people on there.
Oh, haven't we just?
Like, I mean, it's most of my mates as well, which is great.
Yeah.
We've pulled in some great favors, but it's like, but they're my crew. Omar, Kayla Rock, Shola Amma, Terry Walker, like all these people that we've talked to, between the two of us, they're our people.
And they've all got very different stories to tell.
And also have earned their stars.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
They're prolific people in their respective areas of the music industry, be it an artist, a writer, or otherwise. And it's just, I just love how it's a passion project for us, but it's really going somewhere now, eh?
Yeah, it is really
Like,
going somewhere. Yeah, I'm
like,
excited to get
oh.
it out there now.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a lot of, certainly from my perspective, where I've told people who obviously do know what I do, but don't necessarily live in my world, they live in the music world, they kind of don't understand. They think that if you get like 1 million streams on Spotify, you can go out and
You're a
buy,
millionaire.
you can go out and buy a Ferrari. No,
Not true. Should be.
Yeah, they still think that artists with a lot of following are working in those circles.
Yeah.
And it's a totally different, I think it's a nice bit of education for people to realize how different it is to how it was 20 years ago. And it might not be the industry that people, they're not saying this in a negative way,
No.
but it's certainly not the industry it was 20 years ago. And I think that's a good education for grassroots musicians as well. People coming in, or even people sitting in their bedrooms thinking, I want to be a songwriter. Well, yeah, great. You can still make it and you still earn a living, but you have to think this way now.
Yeah. I love as well, I think with all three of the projects, I mean, I love how, we are so intertwined. I mean, our friendship, but like how closely, like how we are knitted together in so many things. But for me, like, and again, from doing my master's, I was like, right, I'm going to write a book because I feel like it's a story that I want to tell. Now I'm ready to talk about these things that I've experienced in this life that I've lived up to this point, the highs, the lows, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it. The titles, the chapter titles are songs from my new album and my past albums. The same with the chapters for the documentary.
Film,
So it's like, it is about me, but it's not about me. You know, like the book is about how, you know, gay and queer artists are represented and how they're received.
It involves you.
Yeah, it's like all these different facets that have been my career and me as a person, all these different layers. But I just love how interwoven, I mean, that was the plan, obviously.
Yeah.
Like you read the book, and while you're playing the record, you can read the chapter Cosmic Rider about me and Jared.
And then watch the film with subtitles at the same time.
Do you know what I mean? It just down the rabbit hole again. Immerse yourself into the world of Nate and Paul Mumford. I've been planning this, and this has been you know, I've been working on this album for 14 years. It's the last release for me.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, I think I lost myself for a while and was just didn't really want to be involved in music, and life was lifing, shall we say, you know. And now to kind of have these three amazing projects, working with one of my best friends on it as well, working with my favorite producers and, you know, great management team, love of my life. Like I'm in that place where I'm like, right, here you go.
It's an exciting time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fun stuff going on.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I mean, we chat 24/7 anyway.
Yeah.
But not on camera. But I just thank you for being a part of this journey. I mean, you literally were one of the first people to interview me on radio, and here we are talking about the documentary we made together.
It's funny, isn't
music
it?
videos, and
Yeah.
again, we're so intertwined. But no, thank you for listening, because I'm a chatty Cathy.
Yeah, you are. Well, we both are.
Yeah, we are. It works. It works.
It does
But no,
work.
Thank you for doing this with me. It's been a lovely duet.
Yeah, and thank you for trusting me in your work, and, you know, putting some visuals to it and stuff, and, you know, helping you. It's an honor to anyone who comes to me and says, I'd like you to make a video for my song, because I know how precious music is to a musician. So to be asked to put visuals to it is a privilege. And I'm pleased we've done it 3 times already, and many more to come.
And we're making a whole bloody movie.
Movie.
Whose wise idea was that? That would be me again, wouldn't it? I mean, I think it was bubbling under for you as well.
I think we're both responsible, to be fair.
We are.